Hello and welcome to my first video tutorial. This is what the finished product is going to look like. This is an altered clipboard, and here's another one. I'm going to go ahead and show you these first because at the end I'll probably be a little scattered. Okay, so what I do is I start out with one of these clipboards and I go ahead and paint it. I try to take my cardstock to the local store and just match the colors as best I can. You can see this matches really well. And then I apply it with one of these little foam brushes. And then I let it dry for 24 hours. Now you could paint the whole thing and the back side, but I don't. But you could. Okay, so then next I go ahead and cut all the cardstock at 5 7/8. Whoops, sorry, I hit the tripod. 5 7/8 by 1 3/4 and then 1 1/2. And I alternate all of these, as you can see, to make sure that they line up. Doing this really fast, taking it back off. And then what I do is I attach all the cardstock just using our regular Stampin' Up! Glue sticks. They work wonderfully. And then I make sure that I layer these exactly like that. Don't worry about it being too perfect. You're going to end up sanding the edges and, well, if you want it to be perfect, make sure you push it all the way up there against there. Okay, I'm going to try to zip through this really fast. Sorry, I don't know how to pause the camera. Anyway, when you're assembling the layers, this is important that you see this. Make sure that you do not take it all the way to the edge. See how I'm sliding it? You want to leave a little bit of space, not a lot, just a little, so that you don't have air pockets when you go to put the Mod Podge on. Again, don't worry about the edges. We're going to fix those in a minute. Okay, really fast. If I knew a really good joke, I guess now would be the good time to tell it, but I can't remember them very well. Okay, this is last year's holiday designer paper, which I'm very sad retired. It's one of my favorites. Okay, can you see what I'm doing here? Just doing all the layers. Okay, and then the last one, it's going to go over the edge just a tad, but that's okay because we're going to use the sanding block. Okay, now this is all glued down, and I know it hasn't really had time to dry, but that's okay. I'm just going to show you how to sand the edges, and then once the edges are sanded, I then take this same kind of brush and I apply a layer of Mod Podge over the entire surface all the way, and then I let that dry for 24 hours. And then you might want to put a second layer. Just depends on what kind of look you're going for. Okay, the way you sand the edges, I'm sure most of you have done this before, is you just take this little sanding block and make sure that you sand it in a downward position. Now look real close. Let's see, there you go. If you can see, it makes it look like it just becomes one with the clipboard, and that's exactly what you want to do. Make sure that you don't go up, because if you do, then you'll pull the paper back out. Now sometimes you just might loosen a piece anyway, and if you do that, that's okay. Just lift the piece up, get your glue stick, and glue it right back down. But as you can see, it's turning out beautifully, and you just might want to wait. If you use a really wet glue on your clipboard, let the clipboard dry for 24 hours before you use your Mod Podge. Thanks a lot and hope you enjoyed my very first video tutorial. Take care.